Hey everyone, David Twyble here. Last week I answered 8 questions on energy management, and on Monday I posted 5 more questions, so I'm going to answer them today. So let's jump right in. Question number 1. An airplane is in level flight and pitches up to initiate a climb. How do lift and drag change during that transition? Well, we're specifically talking about the moments in time where the nose of the airplane is pitching up to establish the climb. Only that transition. So because the nose is pitching up, we know that lift is greater than weight. So that's what's causing the nose to pitch up. So lift is greater than weight. And then we can think about drag. And drag is partly dependent upon lift through induced drag. So we know that induced drag is also higher during this pitch transition. So to summarize the answer, both lift and drag are greater than they were in level flight. Now, the next question is in regards to the lift and drag as the airplane climbs steadily. And this is interesting because it's not intuitive. In fact, when I first started looking into this, the answer kind of blew my mind because it was the opposite of what I thought it would be. So the way we can very quickly get to this answer is to imagine what would happen if an airplane was climbing straight up vertically. Now we're going to make some simplifying assumptions, and we're not going to go through those now, but let's just assume this is a very simple problem. In that case, our thrust is opposite of our weight, and therefore we don't need any lift. So the wing isn't doing any work in a vertical climb. And if you do the math, you can connect the dots between level flight and a perfectly vertical climb, and you'll find that as the climb angle increases, the amount of lift required actually decreases, and it decreases in the vertical to 0. And so we can then look at induced drag, and we know that because lift is less, that induced drag must therefore be less. And so once established in a steady climb, both lift and drag are less than they were in level flight. Question number 3, a fighter jet is climbing straight up. How much lift is the wing generating? Well, we just answered this question, right? If the airplane's going straight up, there's no need for lift. So the answer is 0. Now I'll throw in a bonus. If an airplane is descending straight down, you might have guessed it, the answer is also lift equals 0 because you don't need the wing to do any work when you're descending straight towards the ground. That's all gravity and thrust at that point. Question number 4, why are Vx and Vg usually different speeds? Well, we know what best glide speed is because it's the speed at which drag, or our total drag, is the least. And that's pretty intuitive. Most pilots understand that. But Vx is a little more complicated because Vx is about the difference between thrust and drag. And so we have to look at both how lift and drag change relative to speed, and that gives us what is actually an unintuitive answer. We actually have to go graph and look that up and do some calculations to figure that out for any particular airplane. But the answer is not something that you can just know right off the top of your head. You actually have to go look it up, like I said. So why are they different speeds? Because best glide speed is only dependent on drag, and Vx is dependent upon both thrust and drag. And now for the final question. What provides thrust to keep an airplane on speed when descending at idle? So our airplane is steadily descending towards the ground. We have no thrust, so we can throw out that. We can think about our lift, but because the airplane is going down, and because lift is perpendicular to that, because it's perpendicular, it can't have any effect on that. So it's not lift. And then drag, of course, is operating in the opposite direction to which we're going. And so that's not going to be it. And that leaves us with weight. And maybe that's kind of an obvious answer. But weight actually in a descent replaces thrust. And that is what pulls the airplane steadily to the ground, which if you've ever glided before, you know there's no fighting that. So I look forward to answering 5 more questions with you next week. Until then, fly safe.